I'm Father Matthew Hawkins of the Diocese of Pittsburgh. There once was a time when a person who was born into a Catholic household and was brought up in the Catholic Church could reasonably be expected to remain a Catholic upon becoming an adult. That is no longer true. We used to call these lifelong Catholics who were born into the faith and continued to practice it until death, Cradle Catholics. Protestant converts to Catholicism thought that Cradle Catholics had an advantage over them because these lifelong Catholics presumably had a deeper knowledge of their faith. Cradle Catholics, however, were never fooled by this apparent advantage. Cradle Catholics knew the Protestants and those who converted to Catholicism had to make a conscious decision. Those who decided to enter full communion with the Catholic Church were intentional disciples. They had to wrestle with who they were or what they really believed. Non Catholics who became Catholic most likely had to make sacrifices upon entering full communion with the Catholic faith. Often they became estranged from lifelong friends and even members of their own family. If they lived in predominantly Protestant neighborhoods, their decision to become Catholic could cost them respect within their community. At the very least, they could never take their faith for granted. The days when cradle Catholics do not have to face the choices and challenges that converts to Catholicism have had to make are now over. Most adults who continue to practice Catholicism in Canada, the United States, and in Europe are, like converts to the faith, intentional disciples. They have had to examine their life, and they have made a conscious decision to remain within the Catholic faith. These days, it is not enough to simply be born into the faith. We are all confronted with the need to make choices. One of the things that is most likely to cause a cradle Catholic to leave the Catholic faith as an adult is when that cradle Catholic's parents are consumer Catholics. A consumer Catholic is someone who does not mature in his or her faith, someone who stops growing and learning about the faith after that person has been confirmed. A consumer Catholic skirts on the surface of Catholicism, receiving the occasional sacrament here and there, but never deepening his or her awareness of Catholic spirituality or what it means to live within the community of the faithful. I once heard a priest describe the consumer Catholic as being a person who only turns to the church when it's time to be hatched, matched, and dispatched. In other words, consumer Catholics only return to the church to be baptized, married, and to be buried once they have died. The consumer Catholic is also likely to show up during the Christmas and Easter liturgies, while opting out of the rest of the liturgical year. The tragedy of all of this is not that the consumer Catholic is playing by the rules of the Catholic Church. The tragedy is that the consumer Catholics are shortchanging the most important gift that the Church can offer them: a mature, adult, disciplined spirituality that can endure the test of time and the ever shifting winds of change in their lives. Two things are needed to restore intentional discipleship to the Catholic Church. First, we must rediscover the diverse forms of spirituality and charisms within the tradition of the Church, including diverse forms of prayer and spirituality. The Catholic Church is has as its best kept secret. It is often obscured by an excessive focus on the rules. The rules are important, but only inasmuch as they help to deepen the spirituality in the life of Catholic individuals, their family, and their community. The rules should not obscure the purpose for which the rules are intended. a deepening of the journey of faith. The second thing that is needed is to rediscover what it means to live within a faith community. Communio has been at the heart of what it means to be Christian throughout the Church's history. Indeed, the history of salvation, even among the Hebrews over 1,000 years before Christianity, is the history of God's work to form a community of faith. Lay ecclesial movements today are some of the most visible expressions of this longing for a sense of a community within the Church. The sense of community is especially needed in a time and culture such as ours, which is characterized by radical individualism and social isolation. The Catholic adult today is no longer a passive recipient of a heritage. He or she must be an intentional disciple who has made a choice to live spiritually and sacramentally in a world that has little understanding of or appreciation for the sacred.